Trade deadline passed, boys, and it was a quiet day here in Vancouver.
Always is.
You know, you have these three unrestricted. It is always somehow they're quiet now.
Underwhelming, I think, is the word you're looking for.
Yeah, disappointing. You expected some moves from them at least. They had 3 unrestricted free agents. Not one of them moved. Carson Soucy got moved yesterday, so that was the only good move. But you expected him to actually move like Besser or even Peter Suter,
right? I mean, considering that some of these, what some of these other UFAs got on the market, right? Like you saw Luke Shen got moved for a second and fourth, and then you saw Brandon Tannen got a second.
Exactly. I thought Besser should have got like a first. So Alvin came out. He's like, "Yeah, you guys should have seen the offers we got for Besser." I'm like, "There's no way that the offers were that bad." The problem probably was that they were getting draft picks back, and knowing the Canucks and knowing how Aquilini and the organization functions, they probably wanted a piece to help them ASAP and help them get a playoff spot. And instead of taking those first round picks or second round picks that they could have got back for Besser.
I want to see the offers. I don't believe them because every other team got good returns back for UFAs.
I gotta know. How is it always the Vancouver Canucks that don't get good offers and every other team gets great offers? Like, what's wrong? You guys can't pull these trades together? It's always 100% them getting trying to pick up assets that can make them better now.
Yo, is that what you think?
I think 100% it is.
This was a seller's market of the century, especially for pending UFAs. I've never seen pending UFAs get this much value back. Yeah. Because there's so many teams who are vying for a spot and they're pointing up. And the fact that it's one thing not to pull a trigger on any of these moves. It's another thing to come out and say, well, we didn't get adequate value back. Yeah. Every other team got adequate value back. These randoms got traded and they got adequate value back, and you can't get anything back for like Brock Besser.
Yeah, even if you can't trade. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, you look at Tampa Bay moving 2 picks for
Bjorkstrand
and what are you talking? You really gonna tell the whole media to their faces? Yeah, we didn't really get like that. I mean, like, are you kidding me? Carolina probably would have jumped on that trade just to get him for the first overall pick that they got from Dallas. You think you couldn't walk away with that steal? Like, come on.
You're witnessing a 4-5 team arms race where these teams are just like minute by minute just ponying up, and look at Toronto. They ponied up too, right?
Yeah,
and you're telling me that you have an asset that these teams would appreciate and they're not going to offer anything for it?
Yeah.
Right? Like, that doesn't make any sense at all.
You're telling me a team like Winnipeg, who's still in the race, can't just go, hey, we'll bring him in for 1 year. We need another shooter. We need another weapon. We can take him. Like, even Vegas, Vegas could take him for half. There's a bunch of teams there who are contenders that probably could have taken, even if the Canucks retained a little bit of salary, which they could afford to do, you could have got something back, and I 100% believe it was 100. They didn't get the players they wanted back. Instead of the draft picks and all the prospects that they probably would offer.
Which is kind of dumb in my opinion, because you could have flipped. You could have you brought up the fact about how they already had a trade in place. Yeah, you couldn't do that
with JT Miller.
Yeah, you couldn't do that. Like during the trade deadline, people are taking calls. You can't multitask out here.
Not just that, just like you've been saying with the Canucks and this new regime. That's what they've been doing, right? Yeah. They make trades and then later on they'll get an asset the other way if they have picks.
Yeah.
One thing that really was intriguing for me was San Jose traded Zetterlund, right? Like right at the deadline to Ottawa, right? For not much. And it's like, okay, why didn't you just trade Besser to one of these contenders and then like take whatever you want and then go get Zetterlund? He'll provide like 60% value for Besser.
100%.
Yeah. And if Besser's leaving and you got like a first and a third back for him, or even just a first, and then you could have gotten Zetterlund for like a second or whatever it was, then you could have done something like that. And they didn't do anything. They just sat there on their hands. And if Besser leaves in the offseason, what are we going to do, right?
Yeah. I think the only thing that I think what the Canucks think is that Besser will sign for cheap. Or not cheap, he'll sign less and he'll get a market value. Because I think he loves Vancouver so much too, right? He said it all so many times, and I don't think he wants to leave Vancouver either. I think he's the type of guy who would take that bit of a pay cut just to stay around and play with his team. Because I think he loves Pettersson, he loves Quinn Hughes, he obviously loves the city. So I for some reason I think he's the type of guy who takes a pay cut. That's the only reasoning why they probably wouldn't throw him over for like whatever draft picks that would have came back this way.
I mean, I wouldn't mind that at the end of the day if he does stay, but then his price is starting at around 8.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, if it starts with an 8, that's not a deal.
But that's what I'm saying. I think the Canucks probably think he'll stay for 7.5, 7 maybe. Who knows with him, right? Because if it would have put like with the Sedins back in the day, they were taking pay cuts because they love the city, they love the organization, and all you had to do was like put in some effort to be like, hey, we're coming to Sweden, we'll come over to you, we'll give you an extra whatever $500,000, and you stay here, and then they're like, okay, we appreciate that shit. And I think Bash is that type of guy who loves the organization, loves the team, and will stick around for that. But the one thing I'm surprised, okay, Besser, if you couldn't move him and you didn't think you could get equal value, why couldn't you move P.S. Sutter? He has a $2 million second, less than $2, he's $1.6 million at center, and he's almost scored 20 goals this year. He's having a great year. You could flip him for a second round pick.
Right, they're handing out second round picks like it's Halloween.
Yeah, Brad,
Just trick or treat. Here you go.
They give Luke Shannon.
Brad Tanev.
Brian Tanner's on expiring.
Yeah.
On expiring, he got a second round pick back.
Charlie Coyle got Casey Middlestat. You couldn't trade this guy to somebody for that. Like
They traded the farm for Charlie Coyle,
Yeah.
right? Like, and I agree with you, Sartaj. I think that forget some of these UFAs, some of these other pieces. You're seeing all these sellers. I mean, it's a seller's market to say the least. And if you're not going to be buying, right, then why don't you just sell some of these guys?
You have
right?
to
Like,
sell.
you have other prospects. You have other players you can plug and play.
Yeah.
But you can get some good capital back right now for the future, right? And man, I don't know.
Even I think Alvin earlier this week said that the Canucks aren't really buying this year because their team's not really in that position for them to buy.
Right.
So I get that, right? But like, fuck, seller's market, take advantage of it. Everybody's making these deals. You could easily go out there and make a deal with somebody.
Yeah,
P.S. Sutter would have been a good player for any of the contenders out there. Edmonton could have used a P.S. Sutter for like a third or fourth line center.
Definitely.
The guy's a good playoff performer. He showed it last year. He stepped up in key moments.
But maybe Canucks just thinking they're going to make the playoffs, right?
Yeah,
and
they go for the
they're
playoff
like,
push,
we can use them. But I think you have to be realistic as an organization.
Yeah.
I think Pius Suter, solid player, but the Canucks making or not making the playoffs is not going to be on him.
100%.
So like you're saying, Sartaj, you can move him. He's kind of an expendable in that regard.
Yeah.
He's like a bottom six type of guy, and you can get those sorts of players to plug and play. Go get good value back for him if everyone's offering good value. If it was just a fourth round pick, if that was a going rate. But shit, everyone and their mother was getting a second round pick back, right?
Yeah.
The second round pick was a minimum.
Yeah.
Minimum. It was a guaranteed minimum. That's what kind of low key pissed me off about them is like you see like Sartaj said, it's a seller's market. What are you really relying on like the fact that you're gonna make this playoff push without any like your team's not doing
Your
well.
forward group is not
Your
promising
core
at all.
was not showing up at all. Quinn, he was in and out of this lineup.
Yeah.
Like that's who
He's
you're
banged
depending
up.
on.
Yeah.
Right, banged up. And if he's in and out, like what are we doing here? Like, oh yeah, sure, we can maybe make the playoffs.
Your highest paid player hasn't been
Yeah.
anything close to what you
100%.
expect of him.
Yeah.
So
And-
what playoff push? This is 100% like Aquilini problem too, where he's like, I want that playoff money. I want every single fucking penny I can get from the city, from this team, if we can make the playoffs. That's all he cares about, and it makes no sense. It's such a short-term mindset when you should be making moves for next season when you could probably actually get better and make the playoffs and actually make a second round appearance, maybe even if you actually add to the core you have.
Definitely.
Maybe add some players to help Pettersson get out of the slump that he's in, right?
Yeah.
Maybe mentally you'll get players. You could trade players. You could have traded for those picks and maybe made moves at the draft and got players that you could have added that would have helped you win now. But no, let's just think like Sartaj said, short-minded. Let's just get that cash now.
Yeah.
Fuck it. And then when we go back into another fucking rebuilding 10-year fucking drought, what are you gonna think then? Whoa, how come we're not making cash? Then he's gonna have the same man. It's just a repeat of the same thing over and
Every
over
year.
again.
It's every year.
It's just a fucking cycle for us. Like,
He did
it's just-
again.
it's
He
just
found a way.
Yeah.
He found a way. He did.
You know, we thought Aquilino was taking a back seat.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
who
finally
cares
he's
about the
back.
playoff money?
Yeah.
And shit, JR, you know, Hall of Famer walking around like shit, I'm the top dog. Well, you couldn't chin check Aquilino and tell him we're
sure.
trading these guys?
You got it.
Right?
No.
No. Okay. We'll keep everyone trying to make the playoffs. We got to piece everyone. They got a good chance to make it because, you know, right now I think Calgary's
It's
ahead
him,
of
them
them.
and Calgary are tied in points.
And, you know, they do have a shot. They got like twice the talent that Calgary does.
100%.
Half the heart. But
Yeah, exactly. That's true.
That's the worst part, though.
on paper, they have a chance.
Yeah.
I can see why they want to make the playoffs. But, you know, you can still, in a seller's market, you know, recoup. You can recoup a guy like Pius Suter in the free agency. And then you have some picks, too.
Yeah.
And then you can make yourself a more formidable force moving forward, which should be the goal, right?
Right. You know
Considering that we're not really going all in this year.
What makes it worse with Suter too is that Suter they've had contract talks and I don't think they're even close. So the chances of him staying are probably unlikely. This guy's getting paid under $2 million. He's such an easy asset to trade. People would easily take that guy. Any playoff team would want to
Name
take
me
him.
a better or more deadlier combo than the Canucks and not trading pending UFAs that they know aren't going to re-sign.
Dan Hamhuis, fucking first thing that pops in my mind. All these players that they could easily bring in assets for, and I mean this regime has been so good at bringing in assets and flipping them for other players. Like with Hronik, they did that. They did the Marcus Pettersson. They rebuilt their blue line. I'm surprised they didn't even take a chance of doing this right now. And like Razak said, you use that pick at the draft and flip it for something else.
Right, and then like you can get like an equivalent Pius Suter in free agency, like a third liner. They're a dime a dozen, and shit. You can even double down and get rid of Besser, but you know that remains to be seen if he was going to resign. What if he doesn't resign? Then we're going to be looking around.
Then we're
gonna be like looking like the fucking idiots. That be like they got played again by this fucking guy that wanted to go all in on the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like what the hell? Like,
We all know Minnesota will be looking for Besser.
Yeah, he'll get
He'll get
the-
his money from.
they'll give him 8, and he'll be like he's gone. He's like I'm going home. Fuck it, I'm gone.
I think that's the only city and team that should actually fuck this whole thing up for the Canucks if they actually think they have some kind of leverage over Besser. One more thing about Suter, even if they traded him, their center depth, they have Bluger there, who's the third line center, and then Nils Ahmed's been up and down the lineup all year long. They still have center depth to play with. It's not like Suter or JP. It's not like he's.
I would have traded all three of them, man, because you could have gotten 6 second round picks back.
Do something.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say, for this entire year they talked about getting either Cousins or getting Josh Norris. The fact that these motherfuckers ended up getting traded for each other, like what the hell are we doing, man? Like what? Are we never gonna pull the trigger on any players, any young talent? Like he's like Cousins, especially that's a quality young talent. Like we could have got that if we just maybe we could have pushed you know what? Who gives a shit? If Buffalo doesn't give a shit at this point either. Like Buffalo's cooked in their mind either. So like maybe they think hey, we'll pay Brock Besser.
I still think you could like a contender would have taken him 100%. Like
100% contender would take him, but you could also got
Carolina would have been a perfect team to take him.
Carolina would. I think Carolina,
especially with the picks he got.
Well, I don't understand is yesterday or 2 days ago they moved Carson Soucy for a third.
Yeah.
Right, and it's like okay, you're not going to go all in. You can get rid of some of these pieces that you can move and flip, and then like you're saying, you keep Suter, you keep Bluger, you keep some of these other players. Why would you trade Carson Soucy then if everyone else is standing?
If you're trying to make the playoffs,
we can use Carson Soucy if we're going to try to make the playoffs, right? Getting rid of Carson Soucy kind of indicated, in my opinion,
and Carson Soucy was even under free agent. I think he had like a year left on his contract.
Yeah, that's what I was.
And he got for a third, and Luke Shen got a second and a fourth. Make that make sense. And Luke Shen's playing 15 minutes a night now. Just by the way, but yeah, okay. If you're going to trade Carson Soucy, and you're effectively signaling like, okay, Pettersson and the Hughes, we're gonna keep like the main guys. If we make the playoffs, we do, but we're gonna sell on some of these pieces. Yeah, because that's what you do if you're getting rid of 100%. A team that gets rid of Carson Soucy, considering their lack of blue line depth. That's what it signals.
Yeah,
and then they keep Hughes Cedar, right, and they keep Beluga and Niels Almond. Like
I'm telling you, man, it's just like it's a cycle. We've been through this way too many times where we I don't know, we get our hopes up, we think they're gonna do something, but they never do.
It's playoff appearance, shit the bed, retool. Playoff appearance, shit the bed, retool. Never make it. It's like what Montreal did the last decade. They kept doing it. They make a conference final run and then they shit the bed.
They get that
conference
money.
Final run. They finally were like, we got to tear it all up and we're gonna come back with a new squad.
Whatever shitty organization you want to think of, you want to think about the Cowboys, the Detroit Lions, or anything like that. That's what the Canucks are appearing to be in the NHL, man. Like this is just a vicious cycle of uselessness.
It's hard to watch.
It's hard to watch. It is hard to watch. It just becomes like. It's just like since 2011, it's just been like downhill, and it's just been getting worse and worse. And then last year, we finally have a good season. And then now you're thinking we're building up. We could be contenders for the next 2 years, and then it just all blows up in our faces within 2 months like that. It just blows up.
And if they are trying to make the playoffs, why didn't they go after some of these secondary pieces? Like even like someone like Zetterlund, a young guy. You have a young team. You can play him in there. He's a Swedish player. Like there were other players that you could have gotten if you didn't want to go after some of these top name guys.
Even Casey
Middlestat.
You could figure
what's his name?
You're telling me for them. You can do that.
Suter, Beluga, and like a pick. They probably could have considered that.
Yeah.
What's his name? What's the other guy on their team? Richie. You couldn't get him or any of those other guys too. Like none of those guys. And you could throw Brock Besser. Maybe hey, I'm pretty sure Colorado would have took Brock Besser too.
They could have used a winger too.
It's like it just blows my mind that every year it's just like every trade deadline it's always the same thing. You think the Canucks are gonna do something, they never do. You think they know for a fact they should do something, they never do it. And then it comes in and bites them in the ass, and they don't learn the lesson. And you think after this is the last point you could say this, but you think now we got a new regime. You think like with these guys with the experience they have, they know what the fuck to do. But no, even they fucking drop the ball when it matters the most. Like what the fuck's going on?
Well, I have respect for the regime, but shit, all year they've been dropping the ball. They had this fucking soap opera linger on for far too long. You trade JT Miller for like 3 cents on the dollar, and now you're keeping Besser. And now what's on the horizon for Canucks fans is something that they're used to. And so try to get ready for this. It's the old. We're in a playoff position, and then the last 10 games we're going to lose them all. We're not going
to get a good draft pick. We're not getting anything. We're just not going to play. We're in the middle of the league team again. It's classic Canucks.
Yeah, like
14th overall pick. Here we go.
2008 or any other year where they've been in the playoff position and near the trade deadline, and they do nothing, and then nothing happens after the fact. This is exactly what
happened. It happened the other years. They didn't make the playoffs either. 2023, 2022.
It's the Canucks special. I've seen this every.
That's their identity as an organization.
Yeah, exactly.
See, if we're making playoffs, like at least go all in or something. Like make moves for these players that everybody else is making moves for. Like if we're doing something, at least do something that pushes us one way or the other. We're just like we're just playing the middle line right now. And we're like the New York Islanders right now. We're just deciding like, hey, should we make the playoffs? Should we not? We're just gonna bounce out first round. That's what we're acting like.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I keep emphasizing this is Zetterlund trade. It's one that makes so much sense for the Canucks.
It's like you're his agent.
It makes so much.
He's a Swedish guy. You have Pedersen who's struggling. Isn't 11 Swedish too?
Alvin, yeah.
I wouldn't bring up the Swedish thing because he played with all of his Swedish boys. He still didn't do shit, right? So don't bring up the Swedish thing, all right? He didn't do shit in that tournament.
Disappointing the luck of the moves that they made, man.
Well, that does it for our Canucks wrap up. We're depressed here in Vancouver. See you next time. Subscribe, like, comment. Let us know if you thought the Canucks did a good job in the trade deadline. Because we don't. We thought they sucked.
And you probably don't either.
Yeah.